by DEC to prepare a flow management report, which would assess the system. And we decided to wait for the results of that report in order to have a better handle on issues such as flow and capacity. After the flow management report was completed, we took that information and, as relevant, we incorporated it into a revised set of map plans and reports, and those were submitted to the board on October 24th, 2019. Subsequently, the town board ordered the scheduling of the public hearing for this evening, and as Tara pointed out, the notices of hearing were duly published. Key points I want to talk about relating to these district extensions. I tried to summarize these so as not to take up too much time in this presentation, but all the details are in the map plan and reports. The property, as you're aware, is at 494 State Route 416. It's the site of the proposed Midline Warehouse Distribution Facility. It's designated on the town tax map as Section 36, Block 1, Lot 35. There are no additional properties included in the petitions. So this is a petition just to extend the districts to cover this property only. The site is adjacent to both the existing water district boundary and sewer district boundary, only separated by Interstate 84, and you can see that on the map in front of you. These are what we refer to as zero cost extensions. In other words, there will be no town funds expended in implementing these extensions. The entirety of it will be paid by the petitioner. In addition, Midline has proposed a payment of $75,000 as an allocation fee for entry into the districts. These funds can be used at the discretion of the town board for various utility improvements. In addition, once Midline would be admitted into the districts, it would then become a taxpayer within the district, paying both user fees, O&M charges, and also reduction in capital cost charges if there are any. The water and wastewater use is solely for domestic purposes. There is no industrial process water involved in this facility, and no manufacturing process water in this facility, because nothing's manufactured there. It's solely a warehouse distribution facility. The water demand at full occupancy will be 5,390 gallons per day. Sewer flow at full occupancy would be 6,611 gallons per day. There's capacity in the current system to accommodate these demands, even considering potential developments within the existing districts. And that's all described and explained in the reports, and as well in our environmental impact statement that's pending before the planning board. So typically when properties are adjacent, as these are, and close to districts, and the properties require sewer and water service, the more environmentally protective manner to deal with it is to extend the district and allow the flows into the municipal system at a single discharge point, as opposed to either having in-ground septic or extracting groundwater resources. So we believe this makes a lot of sense for our project, and it's the environmentally responsible way to go. the extension of the lines, which Kelly will describe to you in 1 second, has to be approved by the DEC. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly to briefly describe to you how the lines will be routed.
Sure, thanks Larry. My name is Kelly Ash, I'm a civil engineer with Kinley Ward. The main extensions, there's a 10-inch water main proposed and a 4-inch force main for the sewer proposed. Both of the main extensions will run along the length of 416. They'll be jack and board under 84. And then the water will tie into an existing 10-inch main in Neelytown, and then the sewer will tie into the existing STP.
Is the 4-inch then, would that ever handle further capacity up the line?
It is not as intended to, but if another, and you can speak to this, but if properties petition to tie into that line, I mean, it would be a separate application, but it would extend along 416.
I should note that these designs have been prepared in consultation with Mike Aiello and Delaware Engineering. Mike's with Delaware now, and those were some of the sizing and locations of some of the infrastructure were determined by those guys as to where they wanted them exactly sited. Other than that, from a procedural standpoint, we're not at a point in time where the board can take action on this application because the planning board has not completed the secret process in the terms of accepting the final environmental impact statement, and this board cannot act until that happens. So this evening, what we would like to do is request that the hearing remain open, and we can repost it until the town board's second meeting in January, assuming that that first meeting is a reorganizational meeting in any event. We'll bring whatever new town board members come online at that point up to speed, and take it from there. If that's okay.
Can I ask a question? Mr. Wensky, just in referring to the report, you said earlier that the water demand is going to be 5,390 gallons per day.
5,390
Yes.
gallons per day.
And that's in the chart that's on page 7 of the report. That's due to year 7. It seems to be phased in. Day 1, 2,618 gallons. Year 3, 4,158, and then by year 7.
Correct.
So could you just explain that to the board so everybody understands why the maximum daily usage goes up over those
Yeah,
years?
the simple answer is that because there will be more workers there over that period of time.
Okay.
So the facility is proposed to contain 340, the existing folks that are working at Midline and Wawayanda now in this existing facility, and then expand with additional jobs of another 360 within that total 7-year period. So for purposes of doing these calculations, we wanted to show everybody how it phased in, but we also needed to show what the total would be at the end.
Mm-hmm. And the same graduated rate as soon as in the sewer report?
Correct. The sewer report has a slightly higher demand because under state regulations, we have to consider inflow and infiltration amounts in that. So, and of course, you're probably all aware that the town has recently done work to improve certain inflow and infiltration improvements.
Bless you.
And that in turn has helped with capacities.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Will we open it up to the public?
Well, we do, Bill Brown
minute with the infiltration, so I'd like him to make a little presentation on what we've done so far and the capacity of our
Wastewater system.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm Bill Brown, I'm with Delaware Engineering, we're working with Buckeye.
Can you speak into the mic, please? Just bring it up higher for you. It moves. You just got to step on the pedestal.
I'm gonna hold it. Is that on?
I think so.
No? You hear me? No?
Tap it.
You just got to get closer.
Uh,
Is yours working?
this thing's off. I can speak up if people can't hear me. It's not working.
There you go.
Hello, I'm here. My name's Bill Brown, I'm with Delaware Engineering. We work with Mike Aiello. Earlier this year, we prepared a flow management plan, which was required by New York State DEC in response to the flow coming into your wastewater plant, approaching the capacity of the facility. The flow management plan is to identify where flow is coming and if there needs to be reductions or increases in capacity to the facility. As part of the research on that project, a source of inflow was identified in your collection system, which ended up amounting to about 40,000 gallons per day of unwarranted flow coming into your system that was getting to the wastewater plant that you were then treating. A repair was conducted and that source of inflow was corrected so that freed up capacity at your facility. The current wastewater plant is permitted for 157,500 gallons per day that you can discharge. After the repair was made, the flows dropped to just over 106,000 gallons per day is what's been seen since that correction was made. So there's about 40,000 gallons of capacity at the current facility. There's also plans in place to upgrade that existing facility to a permitted flow of 250,000 gallons per day. That's not in place currently, but that is the long-term plan for that wastewater plant. But currently there's about 40,000 gallons a day of capacity. There are a handful of projects in front of the planning board and known, including the Medline project, and totalizing them together with projections, we're still about 10,000 gallons of capacity if all of them happen.
And assuming all of them were discharging at their maximum that they're reporting to the town.
Correct.
Any public comment?
Hi, my name is Karina Tipton. I live in the village of Montgomery. I've been following the Medline project, especially the draft environmental impact statement, because Medline will be approximately a mile away from my house as the crow flies. I'm also a civil and environmental engineer as well, so I did pay particular attention to those sections in the draft environmental impact statement. I understand the final environmental impact statement is in front of the planning board right now, and it may be changed from what the draft said. I don't know how significant those changes are. The public has not yet had a chance to review those. I can tell you though that in the draft environmental impact statement, Medline did state plainly that there was not capacity and that they did volunteer to pay for the Baxter system to be brought online so they could treat their own wastewater. They also said that they were going to be installing a pump station if the town approved the sewer and water extension to their site, and that the pump station would make lands available further beyond Medline to the water and sewer expansion for that district that Neely Town, District Number 1, serves. I know that there was some questions from this group about whether or not those pipes would be at capacity, a sufficient capacity to serve those additional lands. Based on just an eyeball of the zoning map that we have currently in the town, we're talking about opening out with that pump station and with these pipes that will be going underneath 84 and extending the water and sewer line to Medline. Approximately 10 times the amount of land that the Medline site currently comprises will be opened up for additional expansion, industrial zoned currently. It's currently farmland surrounding the airport. We're talking about a massive cumulative impact based on this one decision that is in front of the town board right now. Considering that we right now have a comprehensive plan committee in the air, a request for planners out, currently still in the air, and a town discussion about whether or not we should be even entertaining these new developments, or if we should be incurring a moratorium on new development while the town gets together and decides what we want in our community, how we can continue to bring in our ratables while also supporting the people and the businesses that already inhabit this town. Considering that there are businesses already on 17K that do not have water and sewer, period. They have not been offered water and sewer from the town. Apparently there is capacity at the Town Sewer wastewater treatment plant, which is great news. There's other businesses here that are not being served by the town, and we're talking about giving a new business that's moving in a great benefit, a huge boon, and then giving the possibility for even more new businesses to move in with services that old businesses have not been made available to. I think that this is too soon. I think that this is a decision that puts half of the town in the corner, right? It says, we don't care about the businesses that are already here. It says we only want to bring in new businesses, and I'd really ask the town board to consider that. I also want to note that there has been some discussion about the new wastewater treatment plant and the constructing and upgrading the new wastewater treatment plant. I'm sure you all know this because you were at these meetings, but in June 2018 at a work audit meeting, the 2009 plan that was previously approved by the state was estimated to cost approximately $7 million to construct. At the August 2018 town board meeting, it was estimated that it would cost $5 million to build a 300 to 500,000 gallons per day plant. We're talking about incurring significant costs on Neely Town Road. I understand from the current studies that were done, which I have not yet seen, I did not realize that they were made final at the October 2019 meeting. I'll be sure to stop by Town Hall and review those as well. We're talking about incurring not just an expansion of development in the town before a comprehensive plan has been put into place, making that possible for these new applicants to come in when there's no zoning to protect the residents and the businesses that are currently in those areas. We're also talking about opening up all those additional lands for greater sewer demand. We're talking about putting in businesses that are going to say, well, why don't you just expand the sewer district for me as well? And then that's when we start to incur that $5 million sewer treatment plant. It's a slippery slope, and I'm asking you to all pause, and I'm asking you to consider seriously the overall cumulative impacts that this will have on the town of Montgomery. Thank you.
Anybody else? Close the public portion.
Well, we're gonna keep the public hearing open. So, you were expecting to, wanna come back and continue the hearing in January?
Yeah, second meeting in January.
We don't have them set yet.
When it's set, yeah.
Well,
And we'll renotice at that time as well.
Okay, so at a future meeting,
maybe because we have the reorg meeting, set the dates.
so at a future meeting, the board will need to set the continuation. For now, let's suggest holding the public hearing open.
I make a motion to keep the public hearing open.
Subject to setting the next continued date at a future board meeting.
So we said,
Roll call.
Motion carries. Motion carries. Public hearing, both public hearings, water and sewer kept open. Thank you.
Thank you. New business? Yes. The first thing is, it's not on our agenda. I'm gonna read a letter from Cheryl Gross. Dear Rod, I am resigning from my position as Director of Finance. My last day of work will be December 30th, 2019. Sincerely, Cheryl A. Gross.
I'll make a motion to accept that with regret.
Next on the agenda is the motion to accept the salary and holiday schedule for 2020.
I'll make a motion that we,
To reorg.
we change that to the rework.
Can you get a second on that?
So there's a motion to, the motion is on the floor to table,
Into the rework meeting.
table that issue till the reorg meeting, first in the beginning of the year.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, the resolution allowing the receiver of taxes to collect 2020 taxes.
Make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I have the resolution, if you guys could just sign it tonight before you leave.
Yeah, required signature. I'm sorry,
I made the motion.
Dan, second.
I second.
Four in favor, one absent. Tara, I would just say on this, the resolution says a special duly noticed meeting.
It's a regular.
Yeah, just a duly noticed, you can just take out the word special.
I'm just gonna take it, I'm just gonna X out special.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
Next is the budget transfers.
Yeah.
Then there's two separate.
Yeah, there's two separate, one for the highway and then one for shuttle. I don't, the one for the highway is included in.
It was 450.
No.
The highway's
No,
not.
separate
included.
highways are separate.
The highway's not included. That was a separate request from Linda, which
If you find it, but no.
I don't even think it would go.
I'll just deal with this one first.
Can you do the other one?
You have to, well, yeah, let's deal with this one first.
What's that?
Yeah, let's do this one first. and then-
Okay, so the budget, you want me to just read the lines? I mean, the lines, the budget transfer report received from Cheryl today is as follows in summary. From the aid fund, townwide, transfer of $110,608.50.
Can you use the microphone, please?
Sorry?
Can you use the microphone? There you
Sorry about that. From the aid fund, a total of $110,608.50, covering town board expenses, supervisor salary, supervisor expense, gasoline, fuel, auditor, receiver of taxes expense, assessor expense, building department expense, youth program payroll.
It's building expense, not building department.
Buildings expense, thank you. youth program payroll. What does SIP stand for?
Town Outdoor Seniors Independence Project.
Salaries for the Senior Independence Project, and the Senior Independence Project itself, disability. And those monies will be coming from town building exterior, 90,000, and 20,000, 60850. Central Communications, right? Okay. And the B fund, total transfer of 94,086, cover engineer, police expense, police operating leases, safety inspection expense, program for aging, planning board payroll, disability, and those monies will be transferred from legal, 20,000, 08614, contingency, 50,000, equipment, 24,000, making up the total of the 94,08614. The D fund, total transfer of $3,531.54 for disability, dental and eye coverage, and that's coming from expense line from the D fund. That's $3,531.54. Hinman Heights Water, total transfer of $59.06. Hawkins Water District, total transfer of $1,037.33. Lakeview Water District, total budget transfer of $392.72. Neelytown West Water, $1,291.43. And Sewer District 1, $44,220.90. Those monies are coming from the expansion design line, $34,220.90, and the engineer's line of $10,000. Sewer District 2, total transfer of $1,313.43. Water 1, total transfer of $16,600, $7,000 of which is coming from engineer, and $9,600 from capital lease. And Water District 2, total transfer of $2,600, coming from the engineer's line and the health insurance line. That's all.
And the email did state that this would cover the shortage we have now and through the end of the year, correct?
That was the,
Cover highway.
Right, that's what the email for this said.
yes. Discussion or motion?
We have any discussion?
Does anybody know what the total was in all the districts together? Do you have that there?
I've got it, but I had the 65 in there that Sean had asked, so I have to take that out.
We'll have to, can we do that separately? Can we do it without Cheryl asking for it?
Yeah.
So what was your total without the 65?
$275,811.05.
Any other discussion? Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
So, the,
Do you have the numbers shown from the codes, or you're not 100% sure?
It's just coming from the 0400 line going to the 100 for payroll. From what it looks like, when you review the budget, the overtime for the snowstorm payroll was taken out of the 2019 budget. And supposedly, they said it was put in the 0100 budget, but when you actually figure out the salaries, there was no overtime figured into the highway budget for the year. So we're about 65,000 short on payroll for the rest of the year. asking for, and I was only asking for 50, but due to the recent snowstorm, I had to bump it up with all the overtime here for about 40 hours.
But you're taking that out of an expense line, a town
Yeah, the
expense
town
line, and
expense
putting
line.
it into.
Yeah, I'm just moving it from one line to the other.
In the highway.
Yeah.
So I guess can we make that motion and then Cheryl will have to carry it through?
Yes.
Make a motion to accept the moving 65,000 from D 5.5110.0400 to payroll line D .5110.0100.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? No, motion carries. Next on the agenda is the motion to hire a part-time clerk for the town clerk's office. Any discussion?
There's a need, and I've interviewed somebody, she's highly intelligent, she's gonna fit right into my office. When I was first hired here 20 years ago, we did have 2 full-timers, the town clerk and a part-timer. So there really is a need in my office, and I think she'll fit in right good with us.
So do you have the amount of hire and is she?
You got the email?
1729. Is
Yes.
she on her probation?
6 months.
6 months probation.
But does
It should be a
a dollar?
lower to start for the 6 months.
Okay, so it's gonna be 1629 then? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
and then after 6 months, it goes up to the 729.
Gary, you budgeted this.
This was
for-
budgeted for 2019. When I got a chance to do it in August, July, I was told to wait to make sure that there's money in the 2020 budget. So there's money in the 2020 budget for this as well.
Can we get a motion to accept the position for clerk part-time at $16.29 an hour for 6 months probation,
I'll make that motion.
Starting on January 6th.
starting on January 6th?
Yeah, I thought it'd be better just to wait in the new year and
Employee's named Heather Mears.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? No, motion carries.
Who made it?
Next is the motion to approve assessor to attend the 2020 annual training and meeting.
I'd like to move this to the first meeting in January, because I think there's other people that may be interested in going also, and then the new board can vote on it. Early registration doesn't end till January 24th, so we'll have plenty of time to do it.
So are you making that motion?
You need a motion to move it, then I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
This is for the Association of Towns training in mid-February.
Yes.
Yeah, and there'll be time for anyone who's going to be needing hotel rooms. The deadline is until after January to get the information over to Mr. Cummings, who handles the accommodations, which are at the Orange County group stays at the same place, and they have a discounted rate for parking and the hotel room.
Yeah, they have to do 24th for hotel too.
Did you say?
I second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion was carried. Next on the agenda is the update safety system program plan. It wasn't on the agenda, we're going to add that. It's for the drug testing for the Department of Transportation.
Well, it's the, if I may,
Yeah.
this one got added, Mr. Galati asked us to get this on for this evening. The town board already approved back in November the updated drug and alcohol testing policy. This is the overall New York State DOT safety system program plan. The only real changes from last year were the updated drug policy, drug and alcohol policy, which has to be submitted to DOT. It was submitted to federal DOT already, but it needs to go to the state with our updated plan, our updated policy, and the town's organizational chart. We'll wind up updating the organizational chart after the first of the year as well, when there's new board members, but for now they need it for the rest of December and going forward. And they've asked that it be sent in by, approved, signed, and sent in by December 15th. This being the last meeting before December 15th, we got a request this week to add this on to the agenda this evening, authorizing either the supervisor or his designee to sign the updated policy and get it over to DOT. So I'm requesting that someone make that motion.
I just thinking that flow chart there, it had Todd as highway superintendent.
Right. We're gonna update it before it gets sent in.
For the 15th, because Sean is now.
Yes, because we noticed that for Pete. We also asked because this chart for the moment has the current supervisor. That obviously is going to change after January 1, but they want it as it exists now, so we'll change it to Todd, and then we'll send it in.
Sean.
Sorry, my apologies to Sean, and we will send it in. We'll have Pete send it into DOT.
I'll make that motion.
There were two attachments, I'm sorry, and one did have Sean and one
Right.
had Todd. I think you just wanna watch the date on Sean's,
Yeah.
because this was January 1st, July.
Right, and we'll also make sure that we have the updated drug and alcohol policy attached to it.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Can somebody send that email to me? I don't have that at all.
Oh, I'll forward this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Another addition is a request from the Highway Department to hire Mark Williams for a part-time MEO employee for the Highway Department with a start date of December 6th. His salary would start at $23.99, and he will fill the position at this time, which will maintain snow removal at the town hall as needed. Any discussion?
They don't do probation.
Is there
I'll make
probation?
that motion.
It's based on their contract.
That's collective bargaining agreement, yeah.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries to hire the part-time highway employee.
Thank you.
Under old business, the resolution for the approval.
Can I say one thing, or two things under new business really quick? Really quick.
Go ahead.
The rail trail was crack sealed a few weeks, 2 weeks ago, I believe, so that project is completed now.
Just before the snow, huh?
Yeah, it was just before the snow, and I also contacted a gate company. I think they're out of Rhinebeck. They came today, and they said for about $400 they can fix the gate at Benedict Park so the automatic opener works again, and they can set the time. He said it looks like it's wired wrong, and he said it's a pretty easy fix. He said between labor and he said it looks like it needs to just be kind of lubed up and fixed a little bit, so. But he said for about $400 you can repair it, so he's gonna come next week and fix it.
So you can do that without our.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But that should come out of the parks, not your
That'll
budget.
come out of the park.
Next on the agenda, old business, the resolution for the approval of the Amthorpe property annexation to the village of Walden.
Do you have any updates on that?
Yes. Just finish this, we've been in contact with the village attorney for the village of Montgomery.
Walden.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
With Mr. Donovan from Walden. And we were having some discussions, making sure that the tax allocations would remain unchanged for the town, because the assessment roll was prepared already for 2020. It's prepared back in March, went into effect July 1, so that will remain unchanged for the property. And that was all encompassed in the land use agreement that is part of the negotiations and the agreement for the annexation for the property going from the village from the town into the village. And we worked out those issues this week. We circulated the latest version of the agreement and the resolution to the town board. And we're satisfied that it covers the town properly, and essentially it's we have the resolution for approval tonight. The village has already adopted their annexation resolution, and right now we're satisfied with the form of the land use agreement between the two municipalities.
I called the building inspector this morning, and he feels that the light issue has been taken care of. So.
I'll make that motion.
So, at this point, we have resolution findings in order of the town board of the town of Montgomery on petition by Walden East LLC for annexation of 5 parcels into the village of Walden. Somebody want a motion made by?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I just want to make, Jocko's, want to make one clarification. So Walden was waiting for you to actually approve it. So they'll approve it on the 17th, I believe. Then we'll forward all the signatures and
And Mr. Donovan did approve the,
Yes.
Village attorney approved the form of
Yes.
the land use agreement.
Okay.
Board members have anything to say?
We'll open it up to the public. You have 5 minutes to speak if you wish to speak.
Can I just say about our Santa's Toy Box Drive is going on downstairs. It's the annual toy drive for the children. There's a box downstairs. And we'll be collecting toys, new toys only, up until December 23rd. Thank you.
Undrafted, right?
New and unwrapped, yes.
Don Berger, Village Montgomery. I have a number of things to discuss, but before I get into that, what I want to do is, since this is the final public speaking time to the board, what I want to do is thank Mr. Dempsey and thank Mr. Hoyt for their service to the town. I really do appreciate it, and you deserve a lot of credit. Thank you. Now, with that being said,
Buckle up,
first, don't take this off my time now.
5 minutes starts now.
Okay, so I'm curious. Late October, David Church came to the Village of Montgomery, and we talked about having a cumulative traffic study done. At that time, the mayor of Montgomery was supposed to contact the town. The final meeting in November, I asked whether that had been done, and the answer was no, and then he said they were going to move on that. So my question to you guys, has that happened? Has the village come to you guys to engage in a cumulative study with Orange County? No.
I'm not aware of it.
Not us.
No. Okay. The other thing, Mr. Stoddard, the last meeting in November, I brought it up. Not the first meeting in November, sorry. November 7th, I brought up what was going to be done about Mr. Stoddard and the ethics complaint that was filed against him. As of November 12th, I haven't heard a thing. Where do we stand with Mr. Stoddard? The problem with Mr. Stoddard, folks, is that you're probably all aware of. A couple weeks ago, the IDA did approve a $22 million pilot program that Mr. Stoddard voted on. That's part of this complaint, the conflict of interest. That should never allow to be happen. So I'm wondering, has this board moved on that?
That's actually in our attorney's report.
Well, I've been asking, and you know, it's a yes or no, or is, you know, the guy got to go or he doesn't. That's you know, how long is it going to take? In the meantime, we're giving away millions of dollars. and we have a person on there that the ethics board rules he has a conflict. What are we gonna do? Come on now.
We're still addressing the issue, and there hasn't been a conclusion. There's been not proceedings, but there's been correspondence and various things, and the issue is still open.
But you know it's costing us millions of dollars by having it still open.
We are aware the issue is still open, Mr. Burnett.
All right. I'd like to see you move on that a little quicker. The other thing, I have to bring up Mr. Winchell. I did speak before this board about why Mr. Winchell's not here, why he's not at these budget hearings. Other than November 7th, he hasn't been around at all. You guys probably have seen my letters. I believe he shouldn't be paid. Why are we paying a guy who's not coming on the job? A lot of you folks here employ people. Do you pay those folks when they don't show up?
But unfortunately, he's an elected official and he really doesn't have to be here.
Something's got to be done.
But we can't do anything. His
Something's
term
wrong.
is till December 31st.
Well, it's a
If
shame.
he doesn't want to do his job, that's nothing we can do about it.
I'm gonna put an ad in the paper.
Mr. Winchell did send an email today that due to a serious / dire illness in my immediate family, I will be unable to attend the town board meeting. I have handled all urgent and day-to-day matters for the town, and vouchers and checks have been signed by me in preparation for the meeting. Cheryl has prepared all budget transfers in preparation for the meeting as well, Ronnie Winchell.
All right. The final thing I'd like to bring up here, you know we're moving on all these warehouses. And the one in particular, what I just want to address real quick is the Amazon/Stoutfish warehouse. I suspect that you all followed the news. Within the past 10 days, I have at least probably 10 complaints about Amazon and their conduct to their employees. This is not only in the United States, it's also throughout Europe. Low paying, working conditions that are horrible, where people can't even go to the bathroom because of the stress they're under and the quotas that they have to keep. Amazon, as stated in February, is only paying these folks starting at $13 an hour. And here, to me, I'm a union guy, and to have a huge corporation to have all of this, you guys need to look at this before it gets to your table and know exactly what Amazon's all about. Just so you know, there's a plant in Robbinsville Township in New Jersey. It's a little bit bigger than the plant that's going to go in down here at 747. I don't know if you guys had watched the news Monday. They showed that plant. Had a camera, Channel 4 News. Check it out. They looked out on the entire plant. You know what I seen in that plant? It's a brand new plant, by the way. 2 employees working, all automated. They claim they have 1,000 employees. You didn't see an employee on the floor. All I'm saying, folks, is research this stuff before we give the house away. Do some research. All you have to do is Google it. I stink on the computer, and I was able to find it. All right, and I'm sure you guys can too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak? Come on. Please state your name.
Fred Mertz, Village of Montgomery. To my left is a map of all the projects that are before the planning board. And recently there was a tractor trailer that overturned on 84. And if you heard this story before, I'm going to repeat it just because those who didn't hear it. Traffic was deterred down to 11 into the Village of Montgomery until Montgomery Police detoured them down 416. So now we're putting all these other projects on the same roads as all of that truck traffic that was detoured on 84. So before you really think about approving a project, the cumulative traffic study has to be done. Because these trucks are on going from an interstate to a country road. They're not changing their size, they're just changing where they're going. And there's people, anybody in this room could be a victim of it. So use diligence of research and also the impact of what is going to happen to the town based on all this. Thank you.
Next.
Hello.
How are you?
Very well, thanks. Beth Hefner, Town of Montgomery. First, I would like to announce on this coming Saturday, there's a historic home tour in the village of Montgomery from 1 to 4. There's tickets available at Village Hall, or you can call Presbyterian Church, 457-5383. And they're $15 now. They'll be $20 on Saturday, so get them now. I had the privilege of going to a wonderful water quality monitoring workshop today at New Paltz. And they talked a lot about protecting our watersheds with prevention rather than waiting for incidents to happen and trying to clean them up afterwards. Some great resources were given for grants that the town would be eligible for. In order to do that, to be in good standing with these grants, preliminary studies should be done on the river and its tributaries and streams. A lot of that work has been done by the Waukegan River Alliance and by Riverkeeper. There's some old studies, I believe, from 2014. We could draw on that data and possibly be eligible for grant funds to protect our watershed, thus our public health, between the air quality, the particulates from all the diesel trucks that filter down into the river, the flooding, the climate crisis. It's best to be prepared and preserve our public health. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak?
Hi, Randy Green, Village of Montgomery. I just really wanted to say on record that I stood here, well, I've stood here at least twice a month for the last 6 months, and the first time I came in here, I asked Rodney Winchell who had the final say on approving Medline, and he passed it off to the planning board, and then the last time I came in and asked him in this tone why he lied to me about it, he continued to be demeaning and condescending to me multiple times in a meeting in front of other people, and told me that he didn't have final say, and yet here we stand today, and the final vote that really goes to the final approval is for water and sewer in front of this board. And it was, you agreed with him, Sherry, and Rod, who told me that I was pretty much full of crap, and that how dare I accuse him of lying because he was serving our country and whatever. I just think it's another disgusting display of what's happening right now, and I just feel like in the current state that we're in, it was clear that you guys did not support Rod and you didn't stand behind him because you nominated someone else from the same party. And instead of standing up and saying that, knowing the position that we were in as residents and that we were looking for someone to support us, instead of standing up and saying that you weren't in agreement with what was going on with Rod, you squabbled amongst yourselves and you looked incompetent. And I really hope that coming into a new year, there's a new communication, a new between the boards and with the residents, and something different to turn this ship around, because we're all paying attention and we're not going anywhere. And what I've seen so far this year is disappointing as a resident, as a taxpayer, and as an adult, and I really hope to see something different next year.
Anyone else?
Hi,
Karina Tipton, Village of Montgomery. I just have a couple of points to make. One, I wanted to follow up on Vic Schmertz's point about the traffic study. One thing that David Church did say at the village meeting in Montgomery was that there is sufficient existing data to get started on this very inexpensively and very quickly. A number of projects have already done comprehensive traffic studies. I came in front of this board and I read out to you some of the information from the Medline traffic study, which was the most comprehensive traffic study we've had recently, and which shows existing with no new development, with no Medline, nothing else added, significant issues at many intersections around the town, including the intersections of 208 and 84, 17K and 211. It was a very broad-based study. So I just wanted to reinforce what Butch said and emphasize that a traffic study is desperately needed in this area. And I wanted to tie that back into the responsibilities of this board. It's very easy to say that the secret process for these large projects is always dictated by the planning board because they are usually declared the lead agency, and that is true. But what this board has in your control, and I know that many of you are going to be off of the board, but some of you will remain as well. This board has in its control the special exception use site plan and site plan approval process. When we see large warehouses coming in, the special exception use permit they always ask for is to go from 3 bays to more than 3 bays, 160 bays, 200 bays. We're talking about a huge number of warehouse bays that they're adding. They're asking for a special exception use permit. The planning board lawyer has said in meetings that that's generally just, I can't remember exactly the words, but he's like, it's just something that is always awarded. It's something that everybody just gets. But this board has an opportunity to evaluate what the impact is from those additional bays. 3 bays to 160 bays, we're not just talking about 157 more trucks that are going to be coming in. We're also talking about the number of people that are going to be loading those trucks. I know truck drivers, some of my favorite people are truck drivers. They don't like this traffic either. I have no problem with truck drivers. I think they're wonderful and I think they've got tough jobs. I've said this before in front of this board, they're squeezed at both ends. They're responsible financially for their own cargo sometimes. It's not an awesome job, and for them to have to deal with the traffic that we have in Montgomery, it doesn't benefit them, and it doesn't benefit us to give them that traffic either. And that's what we do. Every time we award a new gigantic warehouse, a special exception use permit for gigantic quantities of truck bays without doing any due diligence on what that's going to cause to the area, comprehensive and cumulative impacts from traffic. Beth mentioned air quality issues. Right now we have a DEC air quality meter at the high school. It's not for particulate matter. It's only for smog factors. Particulate matter is the #1 cause of heart disease in the world. It's not our diets. It's not like genetics. It's particulate matter that is small enough to breathe in through our lungs and go into our blood vessels and murder our hearts, quite literally. So we don't have any measuring for that locally. The Medline draft environmental impact statement, and I said before I'm pretty nerdy about that one, it referred to particulate matter counts hundreds of miles away from here as representative for Montgomery. We don't have any existing data. We could be asking the DEC for help with that. It would be very easy to add a new particulate matter. We're making a lot of decisions very quickly, and we don't have the information we need to do it soundly and to do it carefully and in a way that's going to protect the people that already live here and the people that want to come here and want to live here with us. Thank you.
Special exemption permits go through the ZBA.
No, I think that that's something that you all end up voting on as well. I think everybody gets to vote on them. The
For
planning board
divorce and
passes a
stuff,
resolution
that
in
goes through
favor of them.
The zoning rule.
They have deviations, but
Yeah, no, it coming through here.
I think that the Amazon sailfish special exception use permit and site plan were bundled together in a vote, I think just last month in front of this board. So you guys do have a lot of control, you have a lot of authority. And I just wanted to mention that because I look forward to working with you all next year. Those of you who are going to be on the board, you guys are kind of lucky you don't have to come to all these meetings. I'm still going to be here. I'm sorry that you won't be for this. But I look forward to working with you all as a citizen who is interested in the governance of her town, who's lived here for 10 years and has heard from people, nothing's going to change in Montgomery. Why do you even bother? I can't stop bothering. Like, I live here, my children live here, you all live here, my friends live here, my family lives here. That's why I'm bothering. And so I'm looking forward to a very productive 2020 where we can think about the impacts of our actions and take seriously the authority that each of us has to participate I have the authority as a citizen to come here and speak to you in this way, and you have an authority as an elected official to show up next year and to work with us as citizens. So thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? No? I would just like to thank everybody for allowing me to serve as a deputy supervisor for this year. There'll be a new deputy supervisor at the start of the next year. I'll still be here attending meetings and listening to what everybody has to say. Thank you.
You might be here again. You got one more meeting.
You never know. Everybody have a good holiday. Can I get a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.